welcome to the catch up. I am your host, Napiera Groves Boykin, and guess what? I got a special guest today. I got my boy, Mr. Dio Niblet. Dio is in from New York City. What's up on the East Coast, baby?
Oh man, well, it's finally starting to get cold. We were having like summer in October, which was awesome.
That is awesome.
But it's starting to cool down. It's still manageable during the day, but happy to have some basketball back. And,
All right. So everybody needs to know Dio and I are huge Knicks fans, but he's also my comrade, homie, when it comes to liking LeBron.
yes, indeed.
He understands. And as a New Yorker, I would say that is very rare, but he does get it. And because he's my friend, I feel really, really bad about just throwing this out at him because he is a Yankee fan. He's a serious
listen.
How you doing? How you doing, sis? How you doing?
To the victor go the spoils. You guys won, so you get to talk your talk. I'm not super mad at you, because next year when we win, I'm gonna talk my talk. So
you will.
Do your thing. Do your worst.
You got some in too. You got one in.
Yeah. It was a good season. There can only be one winner at the end of the season, and that was not us. But we were in the World Series. Definitely a few things I would have done differently.
Yeah, like
from
what?
a coaching perspective, but I may have a unique perspective. Most people will say they lost it in game 1. Other people will say they lost it in game 5.
Yeah.
I personally think they lost it midway through the regular season.
Why?
Because our closer, the guy who's our closer now, Weaver, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Before him, there was another pitcher that was closing. He blew a lot of saves. And our coach just kept running him out there.
Oh.
And he blew about 14 saves. So the difference between our records was only 4 games. So if he'd have caught up with that a little earlier, maybe we have home field advantage instead of being on the road in the World Series. And maybe, a ball bounces the right way somewhere. So, I'm a little critical of Boone. I love him. He's my coach. He's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
But we as Yankee fans, we're going to be critical of our entire organization from top to bottom, whether it's Cashman, whether it's the Steinbrenners, whether it's the coach. We're going to have something to say when things don't go right. Hell, we're going to have something to say when things go right. We win the World Series. We still got to critique.
Per every New York sports franchise, as every New York franchise knows, the fans are the most critical.
Super
even of their own team. I was at that game 1, right?
Yeah.
I was at that game 1. And I will tell you, at the top of the 10th, I had just told my mother, I'm sitting here about to watch us lose this game. And it is amazing how within seconds, an entire stadium of people's lives changed. We went from oh man, this is such a horrible experience to be at game 1 of the World Series and lose like this, to, oh my God, we just watched a record happen.
Yeah.
We just watched one of the most, iconic game 1 wins or World Series wins. It's crazy. It was crazy. So you okay? You recovered? You're good?
Yeah, I recovered. Thanks to basketball. Good? I'm back in a good mood. Even though that was started off a little rough because another thing that I'm in the minority here in New York as being a LeBron fan, as long as he's not playing against the Knicks,
right?
Is I was a big Julius Randle fan, which is very hard to find a Julius Randle fan in New York.
You were not a Julius Randle fan.
I was definitely a Julius Randle fan.
Dio, we never talked about this.
Yes. For some reason, the whole world, Knicks fans and non-Knicks fans alike, have this blip of just amnesia because they're like, he can't coexist with Brunson and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
They played 14 games, the 3 of them together, Brunson, OG, and Randall. They went 12-2. So that sounds pretty coexisty to me. So I thought they were going to maybe give them 20 games to figure it out. That Cat trade would have been there 20 games into the season, 40 games into the season, 80 games into the season. That Cat trade would have been there to be done.
But he's balling.
He's balling,
He's balling.
as is Randall.
He's better. He is better in this, whatever's happening in this system. He is the man. Whereas I feel like there was an expectation for him to be a certain kind of man. Mm-hmm. And he's not that dude.
Ironically, as I've watched the Timberwolves and I've watched the Knicks,
yeah,
I feel like even from a personality standpoint, it was a win-win. Because I think Randall is that guy, that guy that's not afraid of anyone and is not going to back down from anyone. So he's kind of going well with Edwards over there, where I feel like Cat sort of, maybe shrunk a little bit around Edwards.
He's a gentle giant.
Yes.
He's a gentle giant.
Randall is not.
It's funny because you're right. You would have thought that Randall personality would have worked well with New Yorkers, but he didn't know how to work well with New Yorkers. His interaction was not what's up.
Yeah, but we got past that. We got past that. We were clicking when he got hurt. Everything was all good. I think that everybody got caught up in the playoff run and him not being there.
Yeah.
But honestly, I miss DiVincenzo more than I miss Randall.
I that's the part of that whole trade that I was like, no.
But they weren't going to do it without him being in the trade.
I didn't want any
way,
of
shape,
that.
or form. Mm-hmm.
I love our team right now. I feel like we're starting off a little rocky. I'm kind of shocked.
The big thing, I think they're looking at it as they want to have as great a record as they can until Mitchell Robinson gets back. Because when Mitchell Robinson is in this roster, it totally is a different team.
Yeah.
Because now you're pushing Cat to the 4. You've got one of the best rim protectors in basketball playing the 5.
Yeah.
Now you're moving OG down to the 3. You probably run Bridges at the 2. And now you push Hart back to the bench where he excels from anyway. So now your bench got longer. So when Mitchell comes back, they will look a lot more contendery.
He's not dog, but he's going to be aggressive enough, and he's going to power through. He's going to power horse through, which I think will free up our boy Big Cat to kind of take those threes, to go outside a little bit more, which makes him that unicorn that he is. But I like it because it allows Josh to still play his role as the dog. It allows Jalen to be the general and the dog, and Big Cat can still be the gentle giant.
Definitely. So I'm.
Where do you think we're gonna end?
I think we're gonna still end up being a top 4 team in the East.
You think?
I do. I
was thinking like 5, 6.
No, I could see them being the 4 seed going into the playoffs.
Why is Cleveland so good?
Man.
Well, they definitely got a new coach, yeah.
I think that's the only thing that changed.
How can that make that big of a difference?
There's no new players on the roster, Napes.
How can it be that big of a difference? Who was there before? JB Bickerstaff or somebody?
I don't even remember who their last coach was.
I think it was Bickerstaff. Am I wrong?
But right now, that guy's got them playing. And I mean, listen, you know how a season goes. This is something that we're very familiar with here in New York in the recent years, is that both the Yankees and the Knicks have gotten more proficient in winning the games they're supposed to win.
Yeah.
And I think Cleveland has started the season. More than half of these wins are against teams that are going to be 500 to sub 500 teams by the end of the year.
Yeah.
But we've seen, I think we saw a top team. Didn't like Philly lose to Detroit the other night or something? Like you see those blip games that you lose a game you're not supposed to lose. And I think right now Cleveland is giving us a PhD in winning every game they're supposed to win. And then they're yapping a couple that maybe you didn't slate them to win, you know?
I've talked about this with my cousin. I am a firm believer in letting people cook. And I think asking these rookies when they're 19 and barely 20 years old to come out in leadership roles and skill roles. I mean, we look at the AAU now. Those guys are not learning a lot of really good fundamentals. And I think it's transferring, getting past college because they're only doing a year in college. When they get to the NBA, a lot of their fundamentals are kind of not there. And I think if you let them cook for a minute, let some of these guys cook a minute. Look at what happened to Anthony Edwards when you just gave him like 2-3 years and not expect them to like carry your franchise right off the bat. Look, we make that mistake all the time, John Morant. We do it in football all the time. You put a rookie out there and you think he's supposed to be a leader of 50 men. I think that's crazy. I think it's crazy. But unless it's Bo Nix, somebody who comes in the league as a rookie at 25 or something, But other than that, I think Cleveland was a very young team, with the exception of Donovan Mitchell. They were a very, very young team, and now you see them. Oh, they're almost done. They've been cooking.
Yeah.
They're almost
Garland
done.
is playing very well.
He
was a little rough around the edges last year, so it's good to see him playing well at a consistent clip. And I think it goes on all levels. It goes on the NBA level, but it also goes, look how many of these players went to the G League and got really substantial minutes and worked their way back up to the NBA. Deuce.
McBride.
Even DiVincenzo played some in the G League before he got to
Did
Golden
he?
State.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He played a little G League. There's a lot of Hartenstein, who just went. He played in the G League.
Yeah.
So a lot of these guys, Alvarado is another big player that really developed his game in the G League. I think it's a good thing. And God bless. I'm so glad to see Bronny is in the G League.
I was just about to say.
That makes sense if you really want him to be an NBA player. Yeah. What I did see, the sparks of the games that I've seen him play in the NBA, defensively, he's there.
Defense, he's good.
He's there really defensively.
Good. He's a dog. He reminds me of Hart a little bit.
Yeah. He's a very good on-ball defender. And I think he's just got to go play 30 minutes a night in the G League to hone some sort of an offensive game. So I was glad to see that. I was getting a little nervous. It was like 4 or 5 games. He's up here. He's playing 2 minutes a game. I'm like, there's no value in that. We had our historic moment. Guys were on the court together.
Yep.
Let him get 40 games in the G League. And maybe after the All-Star break, maybe he shows you something that makes you say, hey, you can come up here and get 10 minutes a game. But until then, I wouldn't be mad if he was in the G League until next season.
Me too.
And just,
I think that should be the plan.
Develops his skills offensively. He's going to continue to be a good defender, if not get better. But you can't get better if you don't play, The
one thing I will say I think is a little surprising about Bronny and his development. LeBron is such a genius on seeing the court as a point guard brain. He has a point guard mind, but he's so good at the IQ and like seeing the court so well. And it's really just kind of surprising to me how that has not translated to Bronny as well. Like Bronny can't see stuff in the back of his head. Like
even we have gotten amnesia about the fact that this guy is not like a regular person. He's not human.
I know.
He's Superman.
I know.
That one's already taken. But to expect anyone, let alone Bronny, to soak up, even if it's through DNA, the skill that is LeBron James is just unfair.
It's really, but that goes to show you how crazy special Bron is, because Bronny has had top everything that LeBron could possibly give, but you can't, but LeBron has been working for 20 something years. So you can't give him everything you have, because you're actually gone a lot. And I think that's what he was saying when they did that. They did have that historical moment. He's been away a lot, and you can really see how those little things. I watch my husband with my son now, and my husband, Rasan, he's not a physical basketball player, but he knows a lot about basketball. He takes a lot of time with our son, just getting fundamentals. And I think if you're not able to do that, you'll see kind of how the prodigy or the child kind of suffers a little bit. It's just crazy to me that dude can't see like his dad.
Listen, he has, you get little flashes here and there. He'll throw a little good pass here and there, but he's got to play. He's got to play, and I think him playing every night in the G League is going to bring out some of that DNA, because it's just, you got to get the reps. We here in New York, we saw it with Quickly. Quickly wasn't the player he was until Brunson got hurt for 20 games, and he had to go out there and start for 20 games straight. And then it was like, whoa, what's going on? Who is this guy? Yeah. Because you got to play. Playing is going to do one of two things. It's going to make you get exposed, or it's going to make you rise to the occasion. And sometimes both happen. You get exposed until you rise to the occasion.
So, Bronny, one thing I do know for sure is that he's not the kind of player that's going to get hurt a lot. So I think he's going to have hopefully a kind of long career. Just his style of play just doesn't seem like somebody that's going to get injured all the time. Like even Josh Hart, I'm surprised that dude is not hurt all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he's reckless.
Tibbs went OD in the playoffs, man. He was just had him playing every minute of every game.
Come on. He was wilding.
Fell apart at the end of that Indiana series.
He was wilding. It was unbelievable. Yeah. All right, Dio, over here at the Catch Up, we like to talk a little bit of football. Now.
Okay.
Yeah. Now,
as a New Yorker, I would have to say that's very unfortunate. But
I was gonna say,
let's go for it.
I know that you yourself probably haven't been watching a lot of football because.
No, ma'am, I have not. There's no need. After the first, what was great? I went to my first NFL game this year.
What?
As big of a sports fan as I am, I've always been like 20 NBA games a year, 20 MLB games a year. And I just never went to an NFL game. The only games I like when we were at Howard, I would go to like University of Maryland games. Like those were the only football games I've been to.
By the way, so Dio and I went to college together. Shout out to HU. Bisons.
Yes, HU. So I went to Jets Patriots this year. My longtime childhood best friend took me to the game, and the Jets won. And everything was awesome. We came out of there on cloud nine. I went into the tent, met a couple of the players, took some pictures.
Really?
I was like, man, I said, we're doing good. This is going to be awesome season. Watch some Jets games. Yeah, not so much.
But wait, you're not a Jet fan, are you?
No, listen, I am one of these very kumbaya New York sports fans.
Okay, so everything New York.
I have my 3 favorite teams.
Yeah.
I don't root against the other teams unless they're playing my team.
Got it.
So if the Mets are playing the Cardinals, I'm going to throw on my 1986 hat and my Mookie Wilson jersey, and I'm going to Citi Field.
That's right. It's crazy to me that we almost had a Subway Series.
Yeah. I was rooting for that.
That's crazy to me.
They would have turned this town upside down if we had that.
I know. But anyway, we do a little bit of football here, and I thought you were a Giants fan, so I was really thinking you were.
No, I'm definitely a Giants fan. You are correct.
That's what I feel like I've known all these years, that you were a Giants fan.
So again, I don't root against the Jets unless they're playing the Giants.
Right. I'd like to take this moment. The other night, I went to Sunday Night Football here in Los Angeles, where my Bengals played the Chargers. And so, if you'd like to take a moment of silence with me, this is the end of our season. The Bengals came back from a 27-6 deficit. 27-6 deficit. They came back, brought it back. Tied it up 27-27. They fought a good fight. They wanted to hang in there for the season and give Joe Burrow a chance at glory. However, our defense is putrid. And so we fell at the hands of another putrid, like, how did we even come back situation. However, we died. Our season died right there at SoFi, just like it did about 3 years ago at Super Bowl against the Rams. All right. And I am done with that team for the rest of the season. I hooday all the way, but baby, they didn't do anything all year to deal with our defense. Our defense is awful. I am ashamed that the Bengals have to finish this season with that defense, knowing that that offense can't keep playing like that and getting no support on the other side of the ball. It is unbelievable. It is awful. And we got to figure it out.
What has to happen? Is it like a general manager thing?
First of all, coaching staff needs a haul. Some people, like my cousin, they want to give Zach Taylor another shot. I'm okay with him leaving if he had to. I don't think he's going to, because our ownership is kind of lazy and they don't particularly like to pay people. So I think we're kind of stuck with Zach, but everybody else can kick rocks, because this was the one year where our line was good. Our O-line was solid. We're putting up 35 points, 27, a lot of points. We got this close both times with the Ravens. We almost beat the Chiefs. We were not a 4-7 team, and yet we were, and we are. So
you can't score. You can't lose scoring 35 points like that.
Baby, every week.
Rough.
Every week.
That definitely means you need some help on the defensive end.
Right. I mean, you know that. I know that. Like, how come an entire front office couldn't figure that out in 11 weeks? Like, the way we lost against Washington, I think that was like week 2 or week 3. I knew the writing was on the wall. There was no way that kid, Jaden Daniels, I think he's dope, but there is no way they should have ran over us like that. No way. And Joe Burrow is secretly having an MVP season. That's the saddest part. He's a leader in all yardage, in throwing yards in the league. And yet, nobody's talking about it because we're losing. It's awful. It's awful.
Well, we are the bizarro version of your team, because we've gone 10 weeks to come to the conclusion that our quarterback is really bad, but we kind of knew that week 1. So I was like, the other day, they're like, we're benching Daniel Jones, and they're like,
duh.
Really? What think tank had to come together? Did you guys call in the analytics team to come up with that at 2-8? That there's time that probably the quarterback's not so great.
I do root for the Giants. They are that was a little ridiculous.
And then you got to watch Saquon over here living his best life. It's like you broke up with a girl and she leveled up on Facebook, and you got to watch her every day. She's just
same with us with Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon in Houston. Oh my God, he's having an incredible year. Oh, I don't even want to talk about it. Anyway, Dio Neblett, my Howard University buddy. I thank you so much for joining the catch up. It's been nice catching up with you.
Same here.
It's been awesome. We should do it again.
I'm all for it.
Love it. All right. Well, tell New York I said hello.
In the words of a legendary Jet, can't wait.
Have a good one. Thanks everybody for the catch up. We'll see you guys next week.